platform. Doors opening.
Hello everyone, today we're down here at Broadmeadow station in Newcastle. We're going to take a trip overnight up to Brisbane on the old Countrylink, now New South Wales train, XPT. It's about a 12-hour run through the night. We've got a booked sleeper, so should be a good trip. The XPT, or Express Passenger Train, was introduced in service in New South Wales in 1982. It's nearing 40 years of service in New South Wales Railways. It was based on the design of the British HST high-speed train, which operated in service as the Intercity 125. The design was, however, heavily modified for Australian conditions. The XPT features 3 classes of travel: economy, first class, and the sleeper, which is what I'm booked in today. Car A for us today. It's very British in that you open your own door and then shut it behind you. Berth 25.
Yeah, but tomorrow.
Just as I've walked into my cabin, I've seen a good sign. For those of you that don't know, that the sleeping cabins on the XPT are twinettes. So if you're travelling by yourself, there's a chance that you might share this space with another person. Little bit old world, isn't it? I think that's one of the major drawbacks of this. Well, a few drawbacks, it must be said, but one nonetheless. I remember catching it from Melbourne to Sydney a few years ago, and I was actually booked to share with someone. That person was so indignant at the thought of sharing with me that he went and sat up in the first class seating all through the night. But only one amenity kit, that's a good sign. I might be by myself. And we're leaving.
How far can an XPT take you? All the way to Brisbane, Murwillumbah, Tamworth, Albury, Dubbo and Sydney. Faster than anything on the ground. It's more like an aircraft on the inside, only roomier. More comfort, more luxury. The XPT Super Train. Nothing but nothing can beat it.
So we've just left Broadmeadow, got about a kilometre, and we've pulled up. And that's a sign of things to come, or a reason why this trip is the duration that it will be. Unfortunately, passenger trains, long distance passenger trains in Australia, are not at the forefront of people's minds when it comes to travel, and are treated as such. We're actually at Woodville Junction, where the line changes ownership from New South Wales or Sydney Trains, former Railcorp, over to the Australian Rail Track Corporation. Control's obviously just given him the road, and we're on the move. But even the XPT apparently is not above a little bit of Cinderella treatment. Despite what I said earlier, railways in Australia aren't above a good turn of speed when the moment suits them. If you were riding this for the first time and just hopped on, you'd think that you'd be in Brisbane in no time. This is a 160km/h train. On Australian tracks at least. Not quite the 125 that it was designed for, 125 miles an hour that is. The biggest problem in Australia is that we have no real dedicated passenger passenger high-speed railways. We share the tracks with freight. A lot of the lines are of an old alignment that has never seen considerable curve straightening, and as a result, running such as this is the exception rather than the rule. We'll be at Maitland in about 10 minutes time from here, and north of there, to be honest, the average speed of the train will be less than 100 kilometres an hour. In fact, it will be less than 80 kilometres an hour. However, for now at least, it's good to sit back and enjoy at least a fast start to the journey.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Could I have your attention, please? We're now on to prepare. And a further announcement will be made ready for collection from the buffet and card fee. Those $9.50 selections are with gluten-free chicken chestnuts, beef stir-fries, spaghetti bolognese, vegetarian lasagna. Thank you for your attention and good afternoon.
Yeah, it's very much a government and old world system when it comes to dining. I'll show you the menu a little bit later on. We're just pulling into Maitland Station now. Now this is the location, I believe, where we cross the train coming in the other direction. Of course, that being the day train from Brisbane. This service number is NT31. We'll be crossing NT32. There it is, right there. Just been down to check my ticket, and one of the perks about the sleeper is that you do get a little bit of food service. You get a light breakfast in the morning. You also get a little snack when you come on. Hasn't really changed much in years, but the very nice attendant I was speaking to has told me that for the first time I've been given real ice to chill my water. So what might you get in this pack? Well, you don't get a head, but you get some tomato chutney, aforementioned water, popcorn, crackers, must be for the chutney, and basic peanuts and biscuits. It does look a little bit cobbled together, but I'm sure it'll be tasty enough. Now those tray tables, they may seem a little bit, like the meal pack, a bit of a do-it-yourself affair, but they do give you a good filming platform. That's a lot of chutney for 2 crackers. Something interesting about the sleeping cabins that I'm in is that during daytime operations they work as seats and can take 3 people instead of the 2. Just a little bit of a look around this cabin. It was a little bit grubby, to be honest. You can tell by looking at the surfaces that the thing really needs a bit of a deep clean, and to be honest, it wasn't the best presentation and doesn't give a very good image. It needs a bit of a workover. This space at the top here is where you could store your bags. It sits above the top bunk, which folds out when and if it's required. Since I ended up sleeping in the bottom bunk, they didn't do that for me, but it pulls out from the wall. There's also this wardrobe that you can use to hang your jacket up and hopefully not forget it when you leave. One of the reasons perhaps for the slow timetabled running of the XPT is the need to get the plethora of freight trains that ply the North Coast line into loops and out of the way for it to pass. There's currently only the one rail link between Brisbane, Sydney and then Melbourne. Inland Rail opening in 5 years' time may help to alleviate this, and we might see some improved running times for the passenger trains, but until then, it's slow going. Well, the attendants come over and very fittingly assured us that the meals we've ordered for dinner have been reheated. So I guess it's time to make the trip down the train to go and see what we get.
Good evening, customers. Customers that are ordering a hot meal. We still have some chicken chapeters, oriental beef, vegetable lasagna, and a spaghetti bolognese. If you're in possession of these tickets, please come down while your meals are nice and hot. Hot meals are now ready to go. Check-in card, please.
So we have our dinner meal. That's a bread roll, apparently. Napkin and yes, bag bowl for me. See how it goes. We've got the beer as well, so they put the price up to $17. But look, being we're on a train, what else are you gonna do? We've just departed Gloucester. It's getting towards dusk. Let's take the time before we lose the natural light and have a look at the amenities kit. Now, this bag hasn't really changed in quite a few years. I remember being given something very similar 5 years ago when I last travelled in the sleeping compartment. It used to actually say CountryLink there, but since New South Wales has rebranded their regional rail network to the somewhat unimaginative Trainlink, they've obviously decided not to worry about branding any of their kits. So the bag's quite nice. You get usual shower gel. Once again, all this stuff used to have the CountryLink badge on it, but not anymore. Comb. Shower cap, that's a new addition. Little toothbrush, toothpaste. This is actually a drinking cup, I believe. There you go. There's fountains at the end of each carriage as well. You can fill this up. And the good old 2-in-1 conditioning shampoo. There's a little bit more. There we go. Earplugs. It's very useful, especially here in the sitting cars all night. Someone's going to be snoring. You just know it. And those come in really handy. And a really boring old pen. Look, it's a nice little kit. good gesture. Nothing special, but good to have it nonetheless. And the food went down okay. Wasn't really the best I've ever had, but never really is going to be when you're on a train. Sun's going down. They'll be through to make up the bed shortly, about 45 minutes time, and they'll be turning in for the night.
The design of the sleeper carriage in the XPT gives a lot of showers and bathrooms. In fact, for every 2 cabins, that's for every 4 berths, there is 1 shower and 1 toilet. I think the idea at the time may well have been that they wanted the business traveller to have the ability to be showered and ready to go before they arrived at their destination. But just taking a look around it, it's all very compact. Toilet at the bottom there and the sink was above, and the shower's in the same space. I didn't have a shower tonight, but I have had one in the past and I found it to be, well, usable.
Well, we've just arrived at Taree about 3 hours after leaving Newcastle, and they've been through and turned down the bed for me, so you can see that they draw the curtains across, so the privacy is quite good. And this is the bit where, if you have another person in the cabin, it might get a little bit cozy. I anticipate good sleep. It's a good looking bed for a train, reasonably wide, definitely be long enough. That'd be good 2 metres. And I anticipate that I should get a good night's sleep. And believe you me, I've actually been up since midnight this morning, so I'm looking forward to it. I'll talk to you early in the morning.
So off into the night we went. Now you might be aware that it's not exactly easy to film things from a train, least of all at night time. So I've got these station names that we went past going through to look at as you listen to the music. The next piece of footage you'll see will be from a promotional film made by Comeng after they built the XPT in the early 1980s.
Much of Australia's track, particularly in New South Wales, dates back to the early days. So design of the suspension system and bogies provided other unique problems. Considerable movement, both vertically and laterally, had to be built into the suspension, much greater than for any overseas train, so that the passengers would not be aware of the lumps and bumps in the track.
So it's currently about 1:30 in the morning. Thought I'd just give you a trip update. Any pretension that this bed was going to be overly comfortable have suddenly, unfortunately, vanished. The mattress is very firm. I'm not a light person, but to be honest, this is really only a couple steps off sleeping on the floor. It's that firm, and as you can probably hear, not exactly the most quiet ride either. These things do have a bit of a reputation for rather creaky, bogie suspension. I guess it's something I've always dealt with. That's probably what the earplugs are for. But just thinking, comparing this to some other trains, some other night trains like the Spirit of Queensland, this is certainly not quite up to that sort of level at this time. But well, we've got a few hours to go. Let's see if I can get more sleep.
Well, good morning. We've gone through most of the nights just after 3 o'clock, although now we're over in Queensland, so we've actually lost an hour. So we've got about 45 minutes till our scheduled arrival into Brisbane, which it's quite early. 4 o'clock in the morning is not a great time to be left at any place. But that's the way that New South Wales trains and Queensland Transport see fit. But at least we have breakfast to enjoy. So, got some raisin toast, which is pretty well cooked. Cereal, milk, juice. Once again, another cardboard tray, I think the third one for the trip. Something alright to get you going at least.
We're just rolling through Acacia Ridge in a modal yard now. It's about our arrival time is now, so we're running about, I estimate, 15 minutes behind schedule. But as we run through here, I'm just going to have a chat about what I think is the big benefit of this product, this sleeper product, and that is the space. If you've ever travelled on trains before, particularly on trains that you get a lot of people travel on those trains that can create a bit of racket, children, snorers, trains that go through the night, sitting up all night. It's never particularly fun. I've done it before and I'd rather fly, frankly. But in this product, yeah, I know there's the chance that you're going to have to share it with someone else, but look, if you're travelling with someone you know, partner, that's out the window, that problem. Not only that, in fact, I've looked at the other sleepers. There's, I think they've got the ability to sleep about 18 people in this carriage, and no one else is sharing with anyone. You'll have to forgive the rambling in that instance, but I think I had been awake for quite some time listening to those creaking springs. But I think the point was that the space that you can get for yourself, particularly if you're travelling with someone else and don't have to worry about a stranger, is worth the ticket price. Ticket price being only about an extra $100 or so over what you'd pay in first class, which for the amount of time seems to be worth it. It must be said though that if you do want to experience this, you need to get in quick, because the XPT replacement is due to land in just under 2 years' time, end of 22-23, and there are going to be no sleepers unless there's sufficient backlash from the public. Keeping in mind that originally there weren't sleepers on the XPT, they were only introduced later on, we may see the back of them again. So if you do want to have a ride in the sleeper, now's the time to book, especially now restrictions for COVID are starting to come off.
The train is currently running 30 minutes behind schedule. We had some signalling issues earlier, which is about to slow us down. We should be arriving in Brisbane though in approximately 10 minutes time. Now's a good time to check your empty seat, including the overhead luggage rack, to ensure we haven't left anything behind. If you have luggage booked through, this can be collected on the platform at the rear of the train next to carriage and cheese, immediately after our arrival. Here in Queensland there is no daylight savings. The current time is 4:14 in the morning, 4:14 AM. On behalf of the New South Wales Trainlink, thank you for travelling with us. We hope to see more of our trains in the near future. Brisbane Roma Street in only 10 minutes time. Thank you and good morning.
The point I'd like to make is we get into area of track that's managed by Queensland Rail. The quality of the track is a lot higher. They seem to invest a little bit more in their infrastructure than does ARTC. It's too bad I wasn't running on track like this before when I was trying to sleep, because there's not much lurching anymore.
just about to go across the Vale Railway Bridge over the Brisbane River. We're arriving in Brisbane about half an hour late. It's coming up to 4:30 in the morning.
So as we pull over the Brisbane River, under the tunnel and into Roma Street, that's it for the trip. Look, I found the staff to be quite professional. The product, though a little bit grubby and showing its age, is still competent, still worth the ticket price, which is under $300, which is good value for a sleeper anywhere in Australia, and certainly comparable to other global destinations as well. It's a unique experience. Yes, you are deposited at Roma Street very early in the morning. If you go in winter, it's not as bad, although of course it will be darker for longer because of not having daylight savings time. Compare it to flying, well, you need to be someone who has a bit of interest in trains or likes trying something different. It's not really a competitor to the aircraft, I think, but it is an interesting, worthwhile, standalone product. So that's the review. Thanks for watching if you watched all the way through. If you'd like to see more of this kind of video, leave a comment, leave a like or a dislike, and subscribe. I'd greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
70% humidity, I'd say. 23, 24 degrees. Nice weather. Well, now I'm just going to hang around here for a few hours.